What's up, everybody? My name is Jared, the main host here at Lead Podcast, where we do life, leadership, and ministry together. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I believe that God's about to do something crazy in your life where you are watching and listening from. And so if God is for you, who can be against you, right? Without further ado, let's tune in and watch. Guys, welcome back to Lead Life, Leadership, and Ministry. I'm Jared. I'm your host. We got Nani back, and we got Sheila Worth, our lovely Sheila Worth, who helps out so much and does so much for Jesus. And I got a joke for you guys. Why were the strawberries sad?
Why?
Because they were in a jam.
Oh my gosh.
So we have Sheila here, and just she's so lovely, and she just has done so much for just the youth programs and just Canyon View in general, and just for Jesus. And something that I love to see is that Sheila is just really finally being released into her ministry that I feel like God's giving her. And just tell us a little bit about what you have going on. Yeah.
All right. So with Butterfly?
No.
So just overall.
Butterfly.
So we have a new program, I guess if you call it that, called Project Butterfly that really was birthed out of just a download from the Lord, honestly. There's been a lot of youth suicide, a lot of youth depression and anxiety in our valley, and it's just been pretty close to that over the years. And this spring there was another youth suicide that just kind of, God just once again tapped me on the shoulder and said, it's time. Now's the time. Let's do something. And I had no idea. Still don't know really what all that means or anything, but that was kind of the impetus. And then this summer just gathered some kids together and said, there's a lot of systems in place in the valley. We have a lot of great resources. We don't want to recreate the wheel, but what isn't happening? What are we missing? What do you guys need? What do you guys feel that is needed? And I think it should come from you. And it's just that's kind of how it started. It's blossomed, and we can if you have more questions we can talk more about it. But that's it's not officially a faith-based organization. However, my heart, of course, will always be for the kingdom. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So you being even like, I've grown up obviously, but like being a child at one point, was this ever anything that impacted you, like suicides and like depression, ever like affect schools at all, like that you remember?
I'm kind of old, so back in the day, they didn't really have words for that. From what I understood anyway, it wasn't that I don't really remember anyone killing themselves ever, honestly, as a young person. I myself, when I was in middle school, I think I was probably battled, I would say, anxiety a lot. I didn't know what to call it at the time, but just didn't have a lot of friends, was very, very shy, very quiet. And people made fun of me, didn't want to sit with me, those kinds of typical middle school things. But what it did was create, I think, a heart that God just gave me for kids, for middle school kids in particular, and then for kids that just don't fit in.
Yeah. Are you from Junction?
No.
Okay.
No.
So where did you grow up?
Where did I grow up? That's a long story, but northern Minnesota mostly, and then moved to the Philippines when I was a senior in high school.
Oh, wow.
Actually, before that, Minnesota, then Michigan for most of high school, and then the Philippines for my senior year, and then came to Colorado.
Wow!
But
do you speak Tagalog?
A little bit. Boy, that was a long time ago. A teeny weeny, not much.
Yeah,
not much
I just
anymore.
want to say thank you. That's fine.
Yes,
that's pretty much it.
So you were a pastor's kid, right? Or a minister's kid, maybe, per se. How was that growing up? Weird, cool, fun, or like kind of like everybody knows me?
That was it was all I knew, I guess. So born really into that. My dad was a pastor. He was like in small churches, so was the pastor, like the only pastor, and the administrator and the whatever, it was just all in one.
Yeah.
And But
Swiss Army knife, yeah.
yeah, no doubt. I remember folding bulletins when I was a kid, and Saturday night preparing and all that, and I mean it was all I knew, and I loved we had people over all the time. There was always, Mom was always cooking, and we always had company, and everyone, we knew everyone, and they all knew us, and it was fun when I was young. And then I think middle school I started to kind of recognize some of the differences of like, okay, so like everybody knows everything about us. I mean, it's like living in a glass bowl.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of, there was a lot of pressure to be perfect. There was a lot of pressure to, what will the church people think?
Like a spotlight, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like PK syndrome of being a pastor's kids.
Yes.
So, like, within that, though, growing up in a home full of ministry and some different church plants with your dad, like, how did you see the ugly, but yet maybe the beautiful, what ministry can offer?
I didn't see the ugly for a long time, honestly. To me, it was really beautiful, and we had, my parents were ones that they just had a huge heart for people, period. So we would go to Canada and go to the reservations, and I mean, when I was really little, from very little on up, and we'd go and we'd have, the town drunk or whatever, and we'd go serve them, and it was just a lifestyle, I guess, of serving, a lifestyle of giving, a lifestyle of, it's all about people, because they are, they're the apple of God's eye, and it's what we're about. It wasn't probably until, I'd say high school, later middle school, high school, where began to see where people were just mean. Sheep have sharp teeth.
Yeah.
And my parents did a really good job of protecting us, I think, from a lot of that.
It's good.
But since that, of course, I've seen just it's a very hard. It can be a very hard life.
Yeah.
And people think they own the church or they own the pastor, and they,
demand a lot.
Tell you what to do, what you can't do. And
so even just kind of growing up, like throughout high school and stuff like that, were you very turned off with ministry? Were you like, this is not the path I'm going down, screw this, Was it kind of some of those things?
Totally the opposite.
That's such a blessing.
Totally the opposite. I loved church. I loved youth. I loved just everything about it. I don't know. God really protected me in that from teeny tiny. I remember wanting to serve. Like one of my earliest memories was wanting to help, wanting to serve, wanting to do something like that. And it was what was valued, but not in a way. To me, it wasn't valued in a way that was like, you have to perform, and if you don't do this, you're not a valuable person.
Okay.
It was valued in a way of, this is how we love people. This is how we serve, because God loved us. Yeah.
Love that. For me, it's very like opposite. Like for you to be like, oh, I love ministry. For me, it was like my parents pretty much like helped build a church by hand. It was Mom and Presbyterian up in Redlands, and like literally, like my dad like laid the foundation, brick and mortar, and everything. And they were super involved in the youth programs that we had, and Sunday school. Every Sunday school, my dad and my mom would lead, and it kind of got to the point where we left there about 2010 because of just different church politics. And for me, I'm like, I had a bad rep where I was like, man, church sucks. Like, why would you want to be part of this? Because like, it sucks. And my parents didn't even like it, like they had a lot of hurt. They still do a little bit. So for me, I was like, I want nothing to do with this. So for even to be here is like just a testimony, like how God's just radically just changed my mind in that aspect. And but yeah, it's just like to see the hurt. There is a lot of hurt for you not to experience that, or maybe to see that and just to like no, like that hurt is so much more worth it for Jesus and for the kingdom. And it's beautiful to see how like God just placed that fire and that seed within you. And so just going on from that, Philippines mission kind of trip for your parents, right? And then college. Where'd you go to college? And then, how did you meet your husband Dan? We all love Dan.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I don't know if I'll tell that whole story, but But yeah, Philippines came back, and we landed in Grand Junction, and went to a church in town, and it just so happened that Dan was substitute teaching for that college age class or whatever.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, holy smokes, I think I need to have that one. But right there, I'll do, Lord Jesus, help me.
An angel?
I know, right? And so I had actually spent my money and registered and have all my classes picked out for school in Minnesota.
Wow.
And then, I don't know, it just, all of a sudden, my heart went, hey, where do you go to school? Maybe I go there. And that's exactly what happened. So I followed him around until he finally came to see the light, and then, got married.
I love that. And you guys have been here for how long in Grand Junction?
Gosh, we've been here a long time, over 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you guys have never moved anywhere else?
Well, after Grand Junction, my parents moved to Alaska and had a church there, and so we went away to college, went to Kansas City one year to a very, very conservative, not my style school that he was going to. And anyway, after 1 year of that, it was like, let's find something else. So we went to an Alaska Bible College in Alaska, and then my parents ended up coming back down here. We stayed, and he went to the university up there. And so our first few years of marriage were in Alaska. We were up there for about 5 years, and then moved back here because that's where everybody was.
How did you like it out there? I know it's
we had a blast.
Sunlight 24 hours, darkness 24 hours.
Yeah, that stinks.
Yeah.
Summers are great.
Okay.
The winters are really, really cold.
Oh yeah,
Really cold and kind of depressing. But we were in college. We had a lot of friends, and we had such a great time. We had an awesome church. Probably the first, church that I could pick. We picked on our own, really, because we always, of course, as the pastor's kid, that's where you went.
Yeah.
And but I ended up going to a Nazarene church that was very much like a vineyard.
Interesting.
And, yeah, it was powerful, just powerful. Really, it was neat.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
So, where do you work now? Because obviously you're not doing ministry full time right now, but where do you work now?
Yeah, right now, so after a long career in human resources at a couple places and ending at Rocky Mountain Health Plans, moved at Rocky still into the operations side and now do project management work.
Gotcha.
So Rocky has such a great heart for people. That's what I love most about the organization. And so,
if you guys don't know Rocky Mountain Health Plans, it's an insurance company. Is it just in Junction that's located? And so it's just an insurance company that is just here in town, and they offer a ton just to the local, which is awesome. Anyways, just want to add that.
Yeah, no, perfect, for sure. And yeah, our headquarters are here, but we're part of the greater United Healthcare company, so we're tied with that. But they've, through that, it's allowed me to do a lot with the deaf in the deaf community. Of course, I have the deaf ministry here at Canyon View, and then hopefully something with the teens too. We'll see. But
it's just awesome to see how your heart's always just been like just serve people and just serve like the Lord in that fact, and just to serve people, but bring in Jesus. Like, hey, I got Jesus with me. I'll introduce you to Jesus, and explain a little bit about like kind of maybe even the deaf community, because I think that's a lot of people, like something I don't even know about. Even here at the church, how we try to cater to them, and I don't know if there's a lot of deaf community people that are being reached in the world in general, like the gospel is saying out to them, So explain a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So from what I understand, it's about a 2% reach rate for the gospel. So about 2% of the deaf population worldwide are believers, which is huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many people are in the deaf community worldwide? Do you know the numbers on that at all?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
No, around our area, probably, I think we have about 65 to 100 maybe in the valley. Just a lot of work locally to get interpreters, because communication, of course, is the biggest, the hardest thing. And so we've worked a lot with them to do that. And then we just happen to have some deaf folks coming to the services about probably 8 years ago now, 7 years ago. And they just, I don't know, just started coming, and we became friends, and kind of the rest is history. And there's goodness, I don't know.
How did you learn sign language then? Like, when was that?
Oh gosh, when we lived in Alaska, I was bored. Dad was going to school, and I took it up. But
Snow and
That's a
ice.
nice hobby.
No, I'm just kidding.
It was
Anyways,
That's a
yeah.
great hobby to have.
But it's such a beautiful language, and
Yeah.
I love the
Mm.
deaf people. We had a deaf couple in our church in Michigan, and man, I was just always so fascinated with the language, and they were just such a beautiful couple, and I don't know, I love language.
Oh, are you fluent in sign language?
I don't know about that.
Oh,
I'm not an
that's
interpreter, but I can do
Sign
okay.
language, like, is that fluency in sign language? That's a thing?
I'm sure there is. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I really don't know, because like, I feel like sign language is like one of the least probably talked about languages, obviously, other than like
Yeah.
Zulu or whatever in Africa, but like, it's probably like one of the
Yeah.
least talked about languages that I really know about, so yeah,
Mhm.
I didn't really even know that.
No, it's amazing. And watching, because they're in our services and stuff too, and they worship so just like beautifully, and just
Yeah.
seeing them like interact with each other and
Yeah.
in the word and in the worship is awesome.
Have you seen it like spread out in the congregation? Like, I know I have, but like, have you personally seen like more people like, this is kind of cool, like I almost want to engage with these people
Yes,
now?
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are curious about sign language, and they come up and ask, and have asked for classes, and so some of the deaf have offered classes now and again, and
That's
I
awesome.
think it's really cool. The more people can even if you just learn a few signs and can converse a little bit, it means so much to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Do you know who Lou Engle is?
Yes, indeed.
You do? Okay.
Mhm.
If you guys don't know, he's a person that helps out with the Send,
Mhm.
kind of like a prayer ministry revival. They go to big stadiums, stuff like that, and they just
Yeah.
pack out stadiums. They just like seek the Lord, and things always happen. But I saw this thing how he didn't get released into his ministry until he was 47. I was like,
Wow.
47? Like, that's him, man.
Yeah.
But like, even in that aspect, like, what do you think of somebody kind of being released into like almost their calling and their ministry like later in life? Because personally, I feel like that's kind of like your same kind of story. Like, you've had a lot of ministry opportunities where you've been part of, but like not your own personal ministry that God's like given you. So do you feel like that story kind of relates to you in that aspect?
Yeah, I think yes and no, and I think there's I guess I want to say to the kids though too, that to not wait for that, because
That's good.
when I remember being really little, wanting to serve and wanting to do that, and you can do that. As a young person, there's a ton you can do.
Oh yeah.
And that ministers sometimes to people way more than somebody my age, to have a younger person pray for you or pray over you or give you a word or encourage you or whatever it is. That sometimes is so much more powerful to a person. So I'd say, don't wait. Don't wait for that. And then just seize every opportunity. Because there's, even teaching Sunday school, and I did that when I was real little or young, in like middle school, high school, you teach the little kids, right?
Yeah.
And, that's ministry too. There's ministry is just, I think it's sometimes a word that is reserved or used for, when you kind of have something that's it's important, or like it's like starting a nonprofit or something big or whatever.
Needing a title to begin.
Yeah. It's like, no, don't wait for that. Don't wait for that. And I don't. The other thing I kind of don't like about the word like my ministry or it's not mine.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
This is all, God tapped me on the shoulder. The only thing I did is say, hey, and gathered a few kids. And it's like, honestly, everything else, God is like, Nani, he's like taking it and running with it. He's downloading to you. He's downloading to others.
Yeah.
And it's like, all I am is just kind of a facilitator, I feel like. And it's like, that's so where it should be. I love that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that really
Even
answered your question.
I feel like even hearing your story even a little bit now, you can kind of just see where God's been like growing you and like putting you in places where you can have these experiences to get to a place where, like, even in Rocky Mountain Health plans, like working in a corporate job or quote unquote corporate, but like still leading with love, still being somewhere where you can serve someone. in a place where they are vulnerable, which is like healthlines, and healthcare is so difficult. And then creating like Project Butterfly as something that's like welcoming and loving and serving the community. So, I mean, it's something you've done since you were very little, like with your parents as ministers and growing you and like putting you in places where you can enjoy loving people and serving them. So it's kind of almost like a continuation of what you've already been doing your whole life.
I feel like recently the Lord actually, I heard this video the other day, but put a sticky note on my mirror every time I like go into my bathroom. I thought my bathroom's like the first thing I go to in the morning and stuff, you know, but and it's like right next to me, my mirror says like, today I'm choosing to start where he finished yesterday. Okay. And it's almost like you are building up that continuation of what the Lord has just continually done, because I don't believe our walk is ever like a clean slate thing. I mean, like as soon as you jump Jesus, it's like you're building off that. But I almost feel like it's that's with like 1 Corinthians 3, where it's like you yourself are a temple of God, and like just day by day you're adding another stone to that temple until just you fully reach maturity. And so it's almost like just prophetically declaring over yourself, like, I'm gonna start where he finished yesterday. And I believe that seemed like for you, like all these years of things that you've been led into, whether you guys or not, have like allowed for you to be at this position now. Like if God would have gave you Project Butterfly like 20 years ago, like maybe you wouldn't have been ready, you know? Would you think you've been ready 20 years ago?
Not at all. And I don't think I would have had, you know, life experiences give you, even though they're very hard. So walking through someone very close to you, you know, ending their own life, walking through someone attempting, you know, walking through those things. And then to just, like you're saying, in the corporate world, all of those skill sets of managing projects and managing a bunch of different things going on at the same time, and understanding that kind of piece and just that organization skills, that's huge. It's all, I think it's just he just puts the puzzle pieces together at just the right time, and then pushes play.
So something I love that you said, like, I feel like you're, whether or not you're realizing, you're like engaging leaders really well in the fact, like you said, like, even though it's not my own ministry, like all of these people are adding to that, because I feel like, you know, deep down, like eventually if you were to be removed, like what would this thing be without me a part of it? You know?
It has to continue.
I love about you.
It has to continue. It cannot be dependent on me. It can't. It will not. That's not the way. It's got to be independent and something that is duplicative, where it's easily duplicated in different areas, and where someone can easily take the model and then reproduce that. And because you're dealing with young people and you know, young people haven't had necessarily, well, sometimes I have had a whole ton of life experiences that prepare them for that, unfortunately. Sometimes I haven't. And so it needs to be something where they can easily take it and do it.
And even if you look at the model of Jesus in the church, like he replicated like what it looks like to train up and build up and teach people with life experiences, so that when he eventually is gone, like this thing will grow into, I mean, the success of the church today. So it makes sense to build up leaders to take your place.
How have you seen people, so you said that you're non-faith based for Butterfly Project, how have you seen people come that don't even believe in Jesus, and they're like, I'm not here for the Jesus-y part, even if you guys do talk about Jesus here and there, like, how have you seen like transformation already in some people?
That's the coolest thing. I think even where the name Butterfly came from is from someone who, church is not my thing. It's not my thing. It's not my thing. It's like, okay, cool. That's fine. What is your thing? And just engaging in a conversation, and then finding out that person, you know, has struggled with this very issue, and then creates out of her healing process and whatnot, creates these beautiful art pieces, and they're butterflies. And it's like, oh my word, the whole I mean, if you think about the process of becoming a butterfly, just the cocoon and the nastiness that's in there, and it basically like eats itself. I'm like, okay, that's like middle school. I mean, it's just a horrible time in your life. Yes, it's awful. All that transformation, and even just any time in life when you're transforming, when you're God's working on you and you're developing and he's chipping away at the stuff that doesn't need to be there. And it's a hard time. It's not any fun. You feel like you're in the dark. You don't know what's going on. You can't see that what's going to come out on the other end. And it's just that cocoon stage. I feel like 2020, the whole COVID thing is like a cocoon of people just, we're in this thing and we don't know. It's isolation. Like, heck, yes, isolation. But to just hang on because, it's coming. Yeah.
I love that. I love how almost the fact either you're using people's gifts and talents that God's given them and you're employing, I don't know, let's make it cool, employing them to like use that and step out when God's already given them without them realizing that's what God's really given them.
Exactly right. Yes.
That's sick.
Yes. We've had people come that are either LGBTQ or have siblings that are that or very close to that community. And I am telling you, that is, I love that. I love that they feel welcome. I love that they're coming, that that's one of the reasons why it was like non-faith-based, because it needs to be wide open.
Sure.
Everybody is welcome. Anybody, not that it's not in the church, but it's just I don't know.
Just have to be really intentional.
Yeah.
Making sure they feel invited and welcome.
Yeah.
While you were talking, I was thinking my friend a long time ago, he used to say this thing, is like, we're meant to be a light to the darkness, not a light to the light. And just hearing like someone, like they have no intentions of like being in the church or like being a believer, but knowing that, God's going to capture their heart because we lead with love. People want to know what the light is, like those kinds of things.
I've actually like ministered to people, and they did like ministering to me whether or not they realized they were doing it. Like not me walking with the Lord. I remember one guy was in Target and kind of just prophesying over him, and I actually just prayed over him. Like the Lord touched him heavy, like Holy Spirit was full, and then afterwards I was like about to say bye. He's like, man, I just love your heart, and like, it's like, you just keep walking in this, like, great things are happening, and like, come on, prophesy, and like, you know Jesus, and I'm like, and it's just like, it's cool to see how people can walk in their gifts and callings. I think it's Romans 11:29. It's like, for God's gifts and talents are irrevocable. Like, God's already given to you when you were born. You can use them and stuff like that, and it's like, it's cool to see how people use them, whether or not they realize it. It's like, just to try to capture them, like Jesus is so good, but like, use it for Jesus, like you don't use it for like the dark things that could happen possibly. And but yeah, I love how it's like you're captivating people by something that is like a common issue just in society in general. And well, not the residents, like they're working to defeat the devil, and like they're teaming up with Christ, like one of the jobs of Christ was to come and defeat the works of the devil. It says that in 2 Peter, I think. And it's like, to know that they're doing that is like sick, like, come on, like that's awesome. But so yeah, it's like, what do you feel like the future is for the Butterfly Project? Like now, obviously things are coming left and right, but like, what's the future coming for that?
Honestly, I don't know. Only God knows that, and I feel like I'm kind of along for the ride. And it's like wherever He wants to take it, whatever He wants, I'm in. I'm in. So, however it looks, I just, remember who. Maybe I do remember who. But one of the words that we got early on was just kind of that butterfly effect. And there has been, people have like said, not necessarily believers or anything, but like you're saying, just prophesying out those kinds of words over this deal. And it's like, someone even said the other day about, in different states around the world and global, and it just, it's just crazy. And every time I hear something like that, it just kind of gives me goosebumps. It's like, Lord, well, you can do anything. And so it's just, however, even if all I'm doing is just kind of like getting it started, and someone else is going to take it. Maybe Nani will. I don't know. Who knows? Absolutely. It just, I think it's such a need worldwide. People need purpose, and they need to feel valued. And it's like, that doesn't change whether you're, in middle school or whether you're in your middle-aged, whatever, you still need to feel valued and you need to have purpose. And so many of the people coming in that want to make a difference, it's giving them purpose in a way that is like changing their life, which is crazy in 6 weeks. Cool. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. This is crazy.
Because for anybody that's listening to this that isn't Christian, but you may be going to the Butterfly Project or you're interested, like you're never gonna try to like shove Jesus down their throat.
Absolutely
like you're more than welcome. It's like meant to be in community.
Absolutely.
And I don't like dissuade anybody. Be like, all these people are Jesus freaks. Like we love Jesus, don't get me wrong, but it's like we're not gonna like just shove it down your throat.
But he's
like,
so gentle, like the way that he moves and the way the Holy Spirit moves, like gentle, kind, inviting, but not like super like aggressive or like shameful or condemning. So I don't know. Project Butterfly, it's just amazing. I'm excited for it. And it's just the beginning, and you can see God's provision coming through. Like, literally, we were at a meeting the other day where we're meeting with the Black Sheep motorcycle.
The Davison group,
Yeah, and we're meeting with them to tell them about like ways that we're utilizing like funds and stuff for Project Butterfly, and it's literally been 5 weeks, and they reached out to Sheila to give us money for Project Butterfly, which I've never seen before.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I've never seen someone get funding that fast without even like we don't even have plans to use money yet.
I've heard this yet. Maybe it was Pastor Corey here at church, but it's like God always gives provisions for His purposes.
Yeah,
it's like you can see that the Lord's blessing this because He's giving you funds already, like in the 5 weeks, and it's like, we don't need these funds, but so I guess like the last thing, like if you could leave young listeners that are listening right now with one more thing, like how would you encourage them?
To not wait. I would say don't wait for anything, like, well, I haven't done this, or I haven't experienced this, or I haven't, I don't feel like I'm qualified, or I don't, I kind of messed up, or I've got a rough past, or I'm not smart enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not, you are enough. You are enough, and God has gifted you, whether you're, a believer or not, whether your choice of identity is any type, it doesn't matter. God has given you specific gifts. He's gifted all of us, and it's just, don't wait to use that. And so, the Butterfly is wide open. Yes, I firmly have my belief system, of course, and but at the same time, we want to help people, period. And so if that means, their choice is something different, that's okay. That's their choice. But they are still valuable. They are still people. We are called to love everybody regardless. I don't care what whatever is. We're called to love them, period. It's Jesus, period. It's just what would He do? I mean, it's the same thing, We're just called to love people. End of story. And so anybody can do that. You can be 3 and do that. You can be,
Sure.
39 and do that. I'm a little more than 39.
So you guys meet every other Thursday, right? Canyon View Vineyard Church, every other Thursday.
Or as needed.
Well, for the rest of this year, we know there's at least 3 more meetings up until January.
Yeah, we've got trainings, like major trainings, once a month through the end of this year, and so training our ambassadors so that they know like what to do when they go out, and what resources are available in the community, that kind of thing, what to look for, and kids and whatnot.
So if you guys want to reach out, I think there's Instagram, Butterfly,
projectbutterfly.gj.
Okay, projectbutterfly.gj. Instagram, I think. Facebook
group, Project Butterfly - Western Colorado.
If not, in Sheila Worth.
That's right.
Right. Well, you're going to clock off. Sheila, thank you for being here.
Thank you guys.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Shalom.
Bye.